What's up guys, Bluddshed here. Welcome to the Akkhan Crusader Starter Build Survival Guide for Diablo 3 patch 2.6.6 and Season 18. We will have timestamps in the description and I'll try to put it in the top comment as well. In addition, what these videos are about is like a 0 to hero guide to kind of walk you through the entire seasonal process, like a survival guide handbook type of thing, so I hope you enjoy the video. The best way to start off any season is to save your challenge rift bag. You get all these fat materials here on the screen. You can unlock all your professions, you can do a Hope of Cain, roll blood shards at level 1. It just gives you so much of an early game boost. And the challenge rifts do reset on Monday. Let me bring up the calendar here. The season starts on the 23rd. The challenge rift resets tomorrow the 19th. So don't do your challenge rift this week of the season. The first thing you're going to do is make a seasonal character, then do the challenge rift, then claim your bag. You have to have a seasonal character before you do the challenge rift, so you can't like stack the bags in advance or pre-load it or anything like that. So make a character, then do the CR, and then claim your bag to success. All right, the first step of the process is rolling level 1 blood shards. Let me bring up the D3 planner here. For Crusaders, level 1, you're going to want to roll shields, because there's only 2 potential shields. So you have the Crusader shields if you roll them at Kadath, and you have the normal shields. Both of them give you Crusader bonuses, like the denial gives your sweep attack a stacking damage increase. So it does up to 125% damage, and it stacks 5 times. Sweep attack is really amazing, and it synergizes well later on with the Akkhan set also, which we'll showcase. You can also get the Guard of Johanna, which synergizes really well while leveling, and a little bit at level 70. It does work at level 70. Blessed Hammer damage is increased by up to 250% damage for the first 3 enemies it hits. This is really good with Hammer, because Hammer only costs 10 resource, just like Chakram for Demon Hunters. So this is a spammable ability. After you get one of your shields, I would 100% go for Helms. Okay, so Leoric's Crown, most likely you'll get while leveling, but if you're playing solo, it's not guaranteed that you'll get it. So this is the way that what I would do is I would go for Leoric's Crown. It's going to give you an XP bonus while leveling if you use a red gem in the helmet. In addition, once you do hit 70, you're going to need cooldown reduction. Hitting that 56% cooldown is one of the most important things for Crusader. The whole Akkhan set, which we'll get into, it revolves around staying in Akarat's champion, so cooldown is 100% necessary. Keep an eye out for any kind of cooldown based stuff while leveling, even gear with like 8%, as you want to get to 56% cooldown as soon as possible. While leveling up, you want to focus on what legendary you got. So if you got the hammer shield, then you want to use the hammer. And of course, you want to use the blunt passive. It's a nice kind of synergy there. If you get sweep attack, focus on sweep attack. The best one is blazing sweep in my opinion, but there is a rune called gathering sweep that pulls them in. So if you have strong arms, if you get them while leveling or something, then this works really nice together. The best blessed hammer rune, by the way, is the fire rune until limitless. Limitless is 640 weapon damage and it only costs 10 resource. It's really good value for like what you spend. And Fervor is good with both of them because it increases your attack speed, allows you to get more attacks out, and reduces your cooldown by 15%, which we need cooldown in the build. Obviously, when you're level 1, you want to grab your follower weapon, so you take the Templar's weapon. It's higher than yours. You can swap weapons with them, actually. Always go to the blacksmith and craft weapons whenever you can, like every 5 levels or so. Keep your weapon updated. That's going to be your biggest damage source. At level 10, rings and amulets become available at the fence vendor. They're called fence vendors. They're in every single town, every act. The type of rings and amulets you want to get from the fence vendors are the ones that have plus damage on them, like 10 damage, 5 to 10 damage, things like that. Also, you want to focus on red gems while leveling. And then when you get to 70, you should be using green gems. So the red gems have the plus weapon damage, as you can see. This has plus weapon damage on it. And then you can put them in the helm for XP as well. So red on your helm for XP, red on your weapon for damage, and then in your gear slot, I'd probably do red as well for strength, because you don't really need the all resist. Enemies don't have too nasty all resist while leveling. Unless you're playing hardcore, then maybe you go for that option. Any low level legendaries you find while leveling, save them, put them in your stash space that you can cube later. So it's good to know what you're going to build into, and you can check all the links in the description for everything we talk about today. You're going to know what you're going to build into, so you're going to know what to save, right? And if you're unsure, just save one of everything and delete them later. That way you have stuff to put in the cube, right? So even low level legendaries extract the full legendary power. Also, when you hit 40, that's your time to make a level 70 weapon. Because of our challenge rift bag, we're able to unlock our blacksmith all the way to the top. So you're gonna make a level 70 weapon. With Crusader, I would do a one-handed or a two-handed mace. Probably a one-handed mace, it synergizes a little bit better. But basically same deal, you put it in the cube and you wanna roll the secondary, right? So this has monster kills, grant experience. If you want a more in-depth version of this, definitely check the description for my challenge rift guide. I also have a level guide, like 1 to 70, a little bit more of a breakdown if you wanna check those videos. Level requirement reduced by up to 30. So you can actually equip this at level 40 if you land a 30 banger here. That's really powerful. You can bump it right up to T6 on softcore. Minimum you'd be at T3, I would say. And then on hardcore, I wouldn't go higher than T1 just because sometimes you get jailed, walled in, tentacled. Don't ask. It gets brutal sometimes. Crusader does get their indestructible or their cheat death passive kind of early. So make sure to use that on hardcore. And on softcore, I would focus on like movement speed and just damage, just raw damage. Like Holy Cause would be better on softcore than indestructible, for instance. At level 61, Reaper of Souls gear starts to drop. It's around 61, you'll start to see Death's Breath drop because that was the Reaper of Souls expansion. So you get higher stats on all your gear. Basically, you're gonna replace everything 61 and above. And the 61 gear is not too far away from the 70 gear. So you can get things like double crit, main stat, double crit everywhere. So let's talk about the stats. So for Crusader, I would go double main stat, crit, and cooldown reduction. That's gonna probably be your best thing. If you could really get something good, I would do double crit, cooldown on your rings, double crit cooldown necklace. Hitting that 50%, 56% cooldown that we talked about is really important. Let's look over the Akkhan set. Now that we just talked about cooldown, let's talk about like fresh level 70 tips and tricks. Let's cover the set first. So the 2-piece reduce the cost of all abilities by 50% while Akkhan's champion is active. The 4-piece reduce the cooldown of Akkhan's champion by 50%. And then when you get the 6-piece, you do all your damage and you take less damage while Akkhan's champion is active. So that cooldown with the Leorix at level 1, the cooldown items you get along the way, there's like a shield that has cooldown when you block. There's an Ingium, there's a Zodiac ring. There's a lot of things that can lower the cooldown of Akkhan's champion. The first GR you do every single season is going to net you a Bane of the Powerful. It's going to give you a 20% damage increase when you kill an elite pack. Insanely good, and you always get it as your first gem. You could run to Act 5, kill Malthael to get your Reaper's Wraps. He drops on any difficulty, so you can do it even at level 70 on normal. You get the pattern, you can craft it at the blacksmith. Because we have the challenge rift bag, you can make the Reaper's Wraps right away. This season, they changed the way the Sage set works also. When you unlock your blacksmith to level 12 all the way, you automatically learn the Sage set and there's a belt. Crusader can fit in multiple sets, so it's really easy to kind of work it in. You get those extra DBs early on. If you're level 70 and you have some extra blood shards laying around, the first thing I would roll is shields. You can get like a Jecking board. It's really powerful. Yeah, more shields, right? And Akkhan's Awakening is going to give you cooldown. Frighter's Wrath buffs Condemn. Crusader has some banger shields here, and I think it's really important to go for shields early. And the Ivory Tower is good for Lazy Shotgun, which is like a tank reflect type of build. You can get another Denial, level 70 to Denial, so you can wear it. And honestly, with my Hope of Cain, that's probably what I would do too. I would just upgrade shields and try to get a good shield. If I just happen to get a Jecking board, then maybe you go a two-handed flail route. There are some really good flails that you can get that buff a lot of things. So if you get your shields out the way, then go ahead and go for weapons with your Hope of Cain upgrade. You should be able to get a free upgrade because you get 35 Death's Breath with the Challenge Rift cash. So you should have at least 25 laying around for an upgrade at 70. You can even do it at level 1 or whenever you get it and then put it in the cube right away if you want to do that. So we talked about rolling your shields at level 1, right? So this is what it's going to look like. So you have your Denial shield, and you're going to focus on Sweep Attack. Everything else is there for resource. So we have Shield Glare giving us resource, Provoke giving us resource, Laws of Valor giving us a reduction for resource cost, and Akkhan's champion gives us resource. So a lot of the build is being able to attack because you're resource starved until you can keep this up full time. Once you have about 56% cooldown, you can keep up Akkhan's champion full time and you don't have to worry about it. You're good on resource. You're getting Wrath regeneration. You're getting damage reduction, a cheat death. Akkhan's champion is super good. If you get the Guard of Johanna instead, it's the same concept. Everything's based around getting your resource back and hopefully getting cooldown to keep up Akarat's champion. Except for this time we're using the Guard of Johanna, Limitless, and the Blunt passive to give you increased damage on your hammers. These are good for your 4 and 6 piece builds. So these are great because it's really the same thing you would use for the 4 and 6 piece. Let's go ahead and showcase it. Again, no Paragon was used in the video, not even one drop. So you just pop your cooldown, start spamming. When you're low on a resource, you can use Shield Glare, get your resource back. I would like to put Life on Hit on my weapon if possible. It's one of the best things you could do. Is it gives you life constantly, and that goes pretty much for almost every Crusader build in the game. Hammer, Roland late game. It's just really good. Any fast attacking Crusader build is gonna want it. Flesh Shield uses it. This is really powerful stuff. I guess only Condemn doesn't attack that fast, so it doesn't really need it. We're gonna pop Akkarats and try to kill this elite. So you can see, as long as you have the shield, your start isn't bad. Like, you pretty much will get through it. And if you had perma Akkarats, you'd be a beast, right? So we have Akkarat's champion. It also does give you an extra cheat death. I didn't actually die. I was trying to die, but yeah, if you have the denial shield or you have Johanna, you're gonna be okay. You just kind of spam your shields and go through the content. Use your buttons when you need them. Shield Glare, get your resource back. Provoke, get your resource back. A pretty easy start, and this is pretty much how you'd play early game too, is you would just spam hammers and until you get other multipliers here. Yeah, so Prophet brings you back to life when you take fatal damage, so it's kind of good on hardcore. You have 2 cheat deaths in a way. We're gonna pop our cooldowns, keep our resource back, and spam away. If you don't get the shields at level 1, which is almost impossible, but if you're one of the lucky ones, or unlucky rather, that doesn't get the shields, remember, you can always make a level 1 character and re-roll your blood shards again to limit your item pool. That's why we do it. I did test this with Akkhan Manacles, which drop at like level 23, but and it does give you 500% on Blessed Shield, but it was really underwhelming, and that's why I didn't really even talk about it in the video too much. But just to touch on it, it felt underpowered compared to the other options. But once you get the Jacking Board and the 2-handed flail, then it's a beast, right? But just by itself, it wasn't really doing it for me. So, but if that's all you have, then you can build around it the same way you're building around the other spenders. So you did your GR20 clear, congratulations. Now let's talk about your 6-piece starter. So there's good and bad things with the 6-piece Akkhan set. It's actually more than 6, right? It's 7 pieces. The good thing is you can swap in all kinds of stuff. You can get like a Sage set here. You can swap in the new AUG Guild set. AUG Guild is bracers and shoulders. You can wear multiple sets and you can get lots of different bonuses with the Akkhan. The only downside is you only do your big damage, your 1500%, and your damage reduction when you have Akkarat's champion active like we talked about. So other classes jump right to T7, and you can, if you have something that gives you defensive items, like let's say you have a Justice Lantern, then maybe you can jump into T7 right away. You're really squishy when you lose Akkarats. You lose your damage reduction. Whereas a lot of other classes have their damage reduction up the whole time, or it's tied to something else. Yours is tied to cooldown, basically. So that's why we really wanted to focus on Leoric's, you know what I mean, while you're leveling, and just to have it in the cube or something like that. So you could have put the denial in the cube, for instance, and then you could have put Leoric's here, and you could have had more cooldown. Right now I have 32. I think I have it on one of my rings, and then you get the 10% from the helm. And then if you use your one-hander with Fervor, you get 15%. So you're kind of struggling, right? But if you had, let's say you went through and you got your Leoric's crown, now your cooldown jumps 8% to 40, and you're getting closer to that 56% benchmark. That's just really important. I wouldn't jump to T7. I would probably stick on T4, but I will show you like a T7 demonstration, because you do have the damage. It's just the survivability is an issue. Like life on hit helps. And there's other things that you can do to help you survive. So we're gonna pop Akkarats and check out the damage. This is what it would look like if you had full Akkarat's champion. You'd just be smacking mobs. And again, this is with no other multiplier, no other bonus, right? This is like what you would be doing. Pretty good, I'd say, for what we have, 331,000 life. And then, so we just lost Akkarats, but it's almost up, right? Especially with that Leoric's crown in the queue, it's almost up. But if you don't have it, then you start to slowly, you lose your 50% damage. And then maybe with life on hit, you can kind of keep, and then you pop Akkarats and then beast mode, right? So I just want to show you how important the cooldown is. And if you're on hardcore, definitely stick on T4 maybe. If you're on softcore, maybe you do T7, you know, a little bit. In all my videos, I talk about the breakpoints. I'll probably do it here as well. The Juggernaut, and we're just gonna smack them. Boom, right? So really good when you have your Akkarats. When you don't, then you start to feel the pain. So Torment 1 is important because that's the first difficulty along the line where you can actually get set items. So this is really powerful. You wanna farm here like baseline, and then you wanna push to T7 as soon as possible because you have a 90% chance to get a Death's Breath versus T6 is 75. So you can see there's a nice jump here. It's a little min-maxy, but this is what I do. I go T1 to T7. With Satyr, you probably just stick on T4. Honestly, it's safer until you get your cooldown, then immediately jump to T7 or beyond, right? And then the next breakpoint is T11 because you also have a 90% chance to get a second DB versus T10 where it's 50 only. So you get a 40% jump here, right? It's huge. This might be the biggest jump from 50 to 90. So that's why I always do T1, T7, T11. And then after that, it doesn't matter. You just as high as you can while keeping it efficient and not slowing you down. You want your kill time to be quick. You want to be running rifts in like 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes tops. All right, so you're starting to farm. You're getting things rolling in. What's the first thing you're going to build into? Well, the first thing you're going to build into is this bad boy right here. It is the 2.6.6 Akkhan Condemn T13/bounty build. You can also use it for goblin farming, I suppose. So with the new Crimson set, we get 20% cooldown, which will get us to that 56% way faster. And it gives us crazy damage based on our cooldown. So we stack cooldown and then we get damage on that. The Flavor of Time makes speed farming crazy. It doubles the duration of pylons if you're wearing it. And it's with the Condemn set. So remember I said roll shield, you want to get those condemn weapons as fast as possible. This is a beast. I showcased this on my PTR. It's super fast. I mean, you're just flying through the map. You're flying through with endurance when Pony's on cooldown for just a few seconds. You have Wings of Angels speeding up you and your group. You're moving really crazy, and this is what I would recommend you build into. And use this for farming the entire season. And then from here, you can play whatever you want. Crusader has tons of different options to choose from. Here's my tier list that we made on the channel. So you can see in the A tier, we have Lan Blessed Shield, still really powerful. We have Lan Holy Shotgun, which is like that reflect damage build. All these have specific shields that I would recommend always upgrading shields for. In the B tier, around 130, which is so powerful. 130 is like really high. You can get, I think, Roland's up here. It's really good for hardcore as well. Roland Sweep Satyr. I'll put links in the description for as much as I can, but the link to the tier list will be in the description, and it has a list of everything. I think Condemn is up here. Lan or Akkhan Condemn is also up here in the 130 territory. I need to lock down my build for this, so I'll probably test this more once we get the patch, or once this season goes live, I'm going to do more testing. But yeah, this is a really good playstyle as well. You can even play Lawn Bomb around the 125 level, in my opinion. Really good stuff. There's lots of different options. And Hammerden as well. Hammerden's probably like in the lower, like around 120, like the lower 125s. So Hammerden's also a viable option for you. If you like fun builds, I also made this super fun Shield Bash speed build with Roland. Because of the Captain set, it gives us just enough damage to farm on T16. It's actually really exciting, kind of port around and Shield Bash everything in the face. So I'll put this in the description as well. Pretty good stuff. The Final Witness, man. Overall, I'd say the Crusader is an amazing class to play next season. You have some new fun builds with the Captain Crimson buffing Roland, buffing Condemn. You can still play Lan Blessed Shield Satyr. It's kind of like the king of variety. There's so many different variations you can play with Satyr across the board. Even the Invoker set, which I forgot. The only downside is you're not really used in group compositions, but you can speed farm like 110s with any comp in the game. So it just depends if you want to make your own groups or do pugs or things like that. Crusader's great. Hope you have fun in Season 18. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the stream or the channel, you can always sub on Twitch. You can support on Patreon. You can just follow, like, comment, subscribe. You can lurk on Twitch. Anything you want on any of my platforms. Any support is appreciated from you guys. The Patreon/build page is going to be updated. I've been putting it off because I've been working on these starter videos. They've been taking my time, but I'm going to update it all before the season goes live. You'll be able to go there. This is what it looks like in dark mode, I guess. So you can be able to see Witch Doctor, and you'll be like, okay, what do I want to play? Jade push, pet push. You click on it, and then it'll actually take you right to the build itself. So here's the Crusader we just talked about. You'd say, okay, what do I use for Torments? Condemned Sage. Click on Condemned Sage, and it should take you right to the Diablo fans link for that. And that's pretty much how it's going to work for everything. So it's an easier way to kind of organize it. If you just use my Diablo fans link, you can see all my updated stuff as well. But it's not organized, right? So we're still using Diablo fans, but we just have a page before this so you can easily, I don't know, it's organized better. I'm rambling. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Bluddshed, and I'm out of here. Peace.